Hello and welcome to today's webinar on better employee management through automation. My name is Eddie Driver and I'm the Product Marketing Manager here at PaySimple, and I'm going to be your host for today's event. So before we get started, just want to get two small details out there. The first one is the webinar today is being recorded, and we will be following up with all the attendees with the recording information. And number two, we are going to have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation, so feel free to ask questions as they occur to you. There's a little chat feature in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, and you can send your questions through that chat feature. And for those of you who might be new here, PaySimple is a payment processing software company that helps small and medium-sized service businesses accept payments, manage billing, and market to their customers. And we're always trying to learn more about our customers. So we recently surveyed about 290 businesses and found some pretty great statistics on challenges faced in the hiring process, the onboarding process, and other business management processes. So we thought today we'd bring on an expert in employee management automation to help solve the issue. And we are welcoming Sam Olson from When I Work. But just quickly about myself, I have been in technology for a little over 10 years, and each of those years have been working with a technology product that is around automation and business management. And I'm actually a former small business owner myself, so I actually ran into a lot of these problems at the time when I owned my business. So I'm really excited to have Sam with us today to be able to talk about some of the issues and solutions for small businesses in the automation process. So Sam, why don't you introduce yourself?
Great, thanks Eddie, and hello everybody. My name is Sam Olson. I'm a solution specialist here on the When I Work team. I have been in technology for over 6 years, specifically workforce management for over 6 years, and a little about 3.5 years here at When I Work specifically. When I Work, for some background on us, we offer a web and mobile application for hiring, scheduling, and time tracking for the hourly workforce. We focus on providing an easy to navigate and engaging experience for all users, and ultimately just want to make it less work to get the right people in the right place at the right time.
Great. Thank you, Sam. So just quickly here, I'm going to go over a little list of what we're planning on covering today. We're going to start with the cost of inefficient hiring and onboarding processes, and that's going to lead us into why businesses are actually choosing to automate. Then we're going to follow with some practical ways to scale your hiring strategy and how to optimize your employee onboarding process. And then we're going to kind of finish up with managing employees for success using automation. And then we're going to round out the presentation with a Q&A session. So again, at the bottom left-hand part of your screen is the chat function. Please send us those questions via chat throughout the presentation, and we'll try to get to them at the end. So to start here, we're going to have a quick poll. And what we're going to do is have everyone answer. We're going to take about 10 seconds and ask, what, if any, automation tools are you currently using? So we have HR automation, payment automation, marketing automation, customer surveys, and I use mostly manual processes. And it seems so far like there's a lot of manual processes out there, definitely leading in the race. But there are some automated tools out there that people are using. Just one more second here and we'll close it. And all right, so to end there, which is good to hear because I think everybody who uses manual processes here, over 70% of the people that answered, are going to learn a lot around the benefits of using automation tools, and then also some really great ways to get started using automation tools because it can be kind of scary to launch into a new process or to purchase a tool to help. So hopefully you'll feel really confident coming out of today's webinar with some of those ideas. So we're going to start here talking about the cost of inefficient hiring and onboarding processes. And as I alluded to earlier, we had some great stats around people's problems in this area. And it really comes down to businesses struggling to find and manage employees and staff. So 63% said that hiring reliable staff was a major challenge. And then, this was only a few months ago in June, 36% said that they had an open role that they couldn't fill. So it's hard to fill roles. It's hard to find reliable staff once you can fill that role. And then once you get to onboarding, 42% of those business owners said they struggled with managing HR and onboarding for those employees. So not only is it really difficult to actually find and fill the roles, but it's also really difficult to get employees kind of ramped up and moving forward in the business. And that's a really difficult thing to handle because, when you have manual HR, onboarding, hiring processes, it really turns just into a completely inefficient hiring and onboarding structure. And what that does is it turns into a higher cost for overall hiring from having your postings out there for longer, doing interviews. All of that is time and money that is spent. It increases turnover, so if you don't onboard employees effectively, they're more likely to leave the business earlier, and then you're kind of back at square one for hiring. And it can leave a bad company image. And, today's world of Glassdoor and Google reviews and social media, if you have a bad hiring and onboarding process, that information can definitely make its way out onto the web. And for people that may be looking at you as a potential employer, if they see those reviews on the web and see that people are having bad experiences, they may want to move on to other opportunities, and you could be missing out on some really great hires. So, hiring staff, as we saw, was a big problem, and not only is it a big problem, but it's a big expense. So when you hire staff and you have to advertise the role, you have to train that new employee, and especially when you have turnover and you lose productivity, all of that turns into actual dollars that are spent by your business in that hiring process. And on average, it's over $4,000 to hire a single person. And if you have that increased turnover and that poor onboarding, that $4,000 happens a lot more often than if you have a good automated hiring and onboarding process. So, for a lot of small businesses today, $4,000 is nothing to sneeze at. It's a lot of money, and it's money that could be put towards more important areas of the business and helping your business grow and thrive. So we want to make sure that today you come away with some great ideas on how to start that automated hiring and onboarding process. And, Sam's going to take over here to talk about why businesses are automating. We've talked a lot about the problems and the expense with having manual processes, and Sam is going to discuss, what a business's rationale is for wanting to automate these processes.
Great, thank you, Eddie, and that's a great transition to just to get us all on the same page of what exactly are we talking about when we say business automation. So by definition, automation is a method of removing redundant tasks and streamlining business functions to help drive towards key business outcomes. So that goal is to significantly decrease or eliminate human interaction with that redundant process, and then ultimately alleviate time for more rewarding tasks and to systematize processes for efficiency. However, not every existing process is really meant to be systematized. One thing that we've kind of adopted here at When I Work is a kind of a famous method from Bill Gates that outlines that the first rule of any technology used in a business is that automation applied to an efficient operation will magnify that efficiency, which is great. But the second rule is that automation applied to an inefficient operation will magnify the inefficiency. So when introducing automation, it's important to ensure that any introduced automation both streamlines that repetition and it's driving you towards the key business outcomes that you're looking for. So it's ultimately important to remember when introducing new automation to processes that what got you here won't necessarily get you there. So there are three main categories that we allocate automation success to. The first is for you, the second is to your employees, and the third being for your business and your customers. For yourself, the most common term that we think when we think automation is generally productivity, right? So meaning that you have more important things to do, like running your business, spending time with your customers, coaching and leading your team, and living a work-life balance. But the second there is headspace. So studies have shown that you should spend 4 hours working per day. And if you think about that, and if this is spent doing redundant tasks, such as sending the same text to multiple employees or creating the same customer confirmation email, it eliminates time spent on opportunities for more strategic things in your day-to-day. Second being for your employees, so automating redundant tasks, it doesn't only free up their employee time, but it also encourages employees to work on skilled tasks that require human insight versus something that is more redundant or repetitive. So this is going to lead to greater job satisfaction, new ideas that can be brought to the table, and just overall a more desirable working environment. Remember, automation, it's not completely about replacing employees, but rather reallocating their brain space to new avenues for company growth and enhancing that overall customer experience. So the battle on keeping good employees is in full force, and companies are finding next level ways to create an engaging culture. And we'll go into this in a bit more detail here down the line. Lastly is for your business and for your customers. So automation can save time, it can save money, it can reduce human errors, and thus mitigate some risk for the business. For a customer perspective, it can really decrease wait times because processes can now happen in real time. It's not waiting for human schedules to open up to be able to get to that task. And the technology is just always running and always on. So ultimately, when you have more time to focus on growth, your employees have better job satisfaction, and your customers have what they need when they need it, and it creates just really an all-up better experience. So the next question there would be, well, where do I start? So automation first starts with dissecting your current processes. We all know that reflection is a difficult exercise, but it's often the most productive for a productive needed business outcome. So here's an example. When I work, we live in the world of workforce management, right? So that's the circle that you see here on the right-hand side. This visual, it's representing the elements that make up the bigger picture of the moment a company identifies the need for a role to when an employee comes on, participates within the company, grows their career, and ultimately is offboarded. So what we would encourage you to do is first, out of just this piece of workforce management, pick one piece of that. So one spoke on the wheel here. Let's pick interviewing, for example. There are straightforward discovery questions that are up here that you can ask yourself and ask your employees, like, what are the steps that we take to interview? What's the most cumbersome piece of that, or what do we find repetitive every single time? Who at the company does it involve? What other processes does this task connect to, or does it affect? Is it producing the outcome or the metric that we're looking for, and why, or why not? So these are just a few questions to get you started, and we'll go into this in a few more details in a moment here. But remember, first, to start with this type of reflection, it's applicable across, most business processes.
Great, thanks, Sam. So, kind of to get started here, the example that you talked about in interviewing, right? That's a part of the hiring process and a part of the hiring strategy. And there are a lot of different parts on that wheel of business management. And so every little part of that wheel that you can pick, kind of isolate and optimize, will then produce benefits that really kind of stretch into the other areas of that wheel. And, hiring is definitely one of those areas. And, when you talk about scaling hiring, automating is definitely one of the keys to be able to scale within your business. And so, Sam, if you could just touch on some of the practical ways that our attendees today could learn to scale their business and specifically their hiring strategy with automation, that would be great.
Absolutely. So at When I Work, we speak to a lot of different companies in a lot of different sizes and industries, from those who have a steady workforce to those who have a really seasonal workforce and kind of face the challenge of hiring really quickly, onboarding, training, and ultimately getting these people to the role that they need them in a very short amount of time. So we'll go into that, but let's first set the stage of just finding talent today and what that's like. So we should all be aware by now that the unemployment rate is at a historic low, meaning that there is natural competition, right, for good talent. Minimum wage laws are creating a compression between job skill sets and pay rates, and then technology is changing the workforce dynamic really drastically and is now becoming table stakes for whether an employee will take a job somewhere or not. So when talent is becoming more and more tech fluent and the expectations for attracting and maintaining these people are only going to continue to grow, businesses that recognize and accommodate these shifts will see higher employee engagement, satisfaction, and then ultimately retention. So this is a lot to think about as a business owner, and it quickly makes hiring one of the biggest challenges. So what are people doing about it? We see large corporations taking steps in employing and finding the hourly workforce in investing heavily in digital hiring applications, either externally or more often than not building their own, and really taking steps to meet the tech-savvy hourly worker where they are and where they expect to be engaged. But the reality is that many businesses are still using paper hiring practices, especially small businesses that may not have the budget to heavily invest in this complete technological change in their environment, or can't overhaul their systems to such complete of a level. So let's go deeper and see where subtle, kind of simple changes in automation could make a big difference. So let's go through that same discovery exercise with hiring this time and really audit our current practices. So let's keep in mind the practice of identifying where automation could have an impact. And we first recommend looking, again, reflectively at your current state. So using some of the questions on the screen, and I won't just read the questions, but rather apply a situation to them. So I'll use some of these to paint a picture of a scenario that our customers often come to us with. So let's say the hiring team of 4 people pulls a generic existing application from their files or creates a job application in a Word document, and then they copy and paste this or pieces of it onto multiple job sites such as Indeed, Monster, Facebook, Craigslist, and perhaps their own website as well. And then these members of the evaluation team each receive an email when somebody applies to each one of these sites, and then they all have to text each other internally or schedule meeting times around their calendars to get the applicant even in the door, and they on average like about 4 to 6 interviews. So then they keep, as they interview, a paper folder on the candidate, and then they collect everybody's notes in this folder and hopefully get all of the notes at the end of each interview, and then review all these notes together when they've seen all the candidates and all of the candidate communication while they're waiting to see, where is my application in the process? What did they think of my interview? It's really done via email or phone call when the hiring manager has some time in their day where they can step aside and contact that person to update them on the process. Generally, we hear in this example it takes about 3 weeks to get somebody through interviews and coordinate with the hiring team, and then another 3 weeks until that employee gets their first shift. So there's a couple steps that I just went through, and hopefully it painted a common scenario. But let's look at what's repetitive and can be magnified. For example, a few things I mentioned: copy-pasting from Word documents into job recs, receiving separate manager notifications from separate job boards or sites, paper folders for each candidate and hoping that those papers make it into that folder by the time that you need to take a look at them and make a decision, and then candidates waiting for a hiring manager to get back to them on their status, hoping that there's no out of office or delays with calendars that's going to kind of interrupt that process. So thinking about that scenario, there are a number of great tools out in the marketplace that can help kind of take that repetitiveness out of that scenario and help you automate and scale this process a lot faster and just get everybody on the same page. So what we would recommend is there's lots of applicant tracking systems. You can use Google Analytics to see how your job recs are performing. And then there are extensions of job boards that are available if you're already using places like Indeed and Facebook Marketplace that you can certainly check out to try to take some of this repetitiveness off of your plate. I just wanted to quick talk through how When I Work is addressing this common process in a modern and mobile way. So the screen that we're seeing here is our central cloud platform. So any hiring manager that's involved in this process can log in at any time. Here they create the job application together. So and in job applications, a simple change is that employers that include salary information, they gain an advantage on those who can that don't. And then those that can keep the length of the application process to under 5 minutes significantly boost conversion rates on an application as well. So just small little tidbits to take away from creating this application to begin with. So first, our hiring managers would log into a central system. They all work on creating this application, and then when they're ready, they determine where in the existing When I Work schedule does this opening exist. So now this is already connecting anybody who applies directly to what's already in production for their team. And then this would create an agnostic online posting link to be used wherever they search for candidates. So being an online form, any candidate application is stored back in one central place in When I Work for review. And you can see, there's partnerships such as with Indeed, a direct posting to Facebook job search. You can include that link on your website to all of those other places that we had mentioned before. So in When I Work, as people are filling out this same job application, all managers are informed via notification when there's a new application to check out, and then applicants are notified automatically as they move through the process instead of waiting on the hiring manager. So now by changing a few simple steps and automating collection and communication around that process, we've got everything in one place. We've got collaboration at a manager level, communication at an applicant level, and automation at a process level.
Great, thank you, Sam. And one of the tidbits I had in there about the 5-minute application process to higher conversion is something that I personally didn't know. So that was kind of news to me, and a great stat there. And a lot of what you talked about was taking either disparate manual processes or potentially even taking some technology that might be used that are in different systems and consolidating those into one tool that can save you time and allow you to focus on more important things. And I think that's a great point because, in the onboarding process, and really with any business management process, scaling takes time to be able to optimize and make sure that it's you don't want to scale bad processes. You want to scale them in a good way. So, consolidating platforms is a big part of that. And I know that, When I Work does that for small businesses. So I want to make sure that we also talk about here some ways to optimize what happens when an employee actually gets hired and starts working at that business. So if you could just talk a little bit about how to optimize the onboarding process so that, that positive effect of automation doesn't stop at the hiring phase.
Absolutely, and the start to a positive onboarding process and a scalable onboarding process is setting the tone early and starting off on the right foot with these new employees. So the workforce today, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, they're expecting to be engaged, empowered, and connected with their management team, with their colleagues, and with the customers that they engage with. And you can take multiple routes in doing this with your team and your new employees. You can set the tone with this through technology, through the level of communication that you provide to them, and just overall really being prepared when somebody new is coming onto the team. What we're finding is that businesses that aren't complying with this or aren't pushing to this type of level and providing a poor onboarding process, it actually results in quality candidates leaving too soon, which, like you said earlier, Eddie, results in wasted time and resources and money during this hiring phase, and then ultimately, a delay in getting the right employee up and running. Our customers at When I Work onboard about 1.5 million employees every year, and that's a lot of time. If you do that math, 1.5 million employees going through this onboarding experience. It's a lot of effort, and it's really critical to ensure that you make the most of the opportunity that you have in bringing somebody new on board. The idea that we bring to the table with the When I Work platform is the idea of speed to schedule. So the reality is that hourly employees will find another job during the hiring and onboarding process if it's inefficient or it's taking too long. So it's not uncommon actually for us to hear of organizations who are offering jobs to 7 applicants that made it through their process and getting 1 person who is really realistically going to come onto the team. And the other thing is that we've seen new hires accepting multiple job offers for multiple organizations and then moving forward with the one who can offer a paycheck the quickest, which is basically leaving the rest of those organizations to start their process all over. So employers, who are able to get their new employee the first shift faster are winning. But the reality is that the onboarding can cause a lot of steps to prevent this from happening, especially if it's manual and not automated. So how When I Work is solving this is on the screen here. When we go to that final step in sending a new hire a job offer, we actually include the start date, which is connected directly to the schedule that the rest of the team is already participating in, so that they know exactly when they're supposed to be started. They register with When I Work right away, and they can see the rest of the team who's engaging and coming in on a daily basis and really get excited for their first shift. So again, it brings us to this question of, well, that's great, and that's a lot of information, but where do I start? And where we found to be most productive to where to start, again, is that retrospective look and looking internally and thinking, how does my team learn best? How do my new employees learn best? And how do I set the expectation of an engaging, connected, empowered employee experience at work? So what we've learned here is that change management actually has been driven from the employee level, not top down. So helping really letting your team help you level up versus trying to guess what a day in their life is like, or in the day in the life of a new employee onboarding is like. It's very helpful to go ask them. So start by polling or surveying your staff or candidates that you interviewed. Just ask, what was your experience like? What did you like about it? What was frustrating about that experience? Ultimately, is it letting you focus on what you were hired to do at this organization? And I think that you'd find some really kind of helpful and enlightening answers to figure out where it is you really need to focus in introducing automation. There are also, if you're looking for technologies, there's a lot of great learning management platforms out there to help standardize and centralize the content that you share with your team as they come on board. And then there's also HR add-ons that can automate, again, paper processes or things that you have to do over and over again. For example, there's a payroll company, Gusto, and they have an onboarding component that can automatically send job offers. They have digital signatures. They have places to store copies of I-9 and W-2 paperwork and things like that, just again to centralize and eliminate some manual steps out of there. It eliminates having to repeat the same task for every hire, and really the goal, again, is just to set the tone for using technology to connect your frontline staff and your management in a new way from the very beginning of that workforce management process.
Great, thanks, Sam. And, again, hiring and onboarding are crucial pieces of owning and running a business and making sure that your employees are both engaged with your customers, engaged with the business, and are happy and fulfilled in working for your organization. But we do want to touch on that management is a holistic thing. Right? It's not just in hiring and onboarding, even though that's a huge part of it. So we also want to touch on some other areas of the business that you can manage with automation for greater success. And Sam referenced this a bit earlier, but a lot of people think automation means getting rid of employees or people, which is definitely not the case. So we've got a quote here about automation being able to improve scale, speed, and quality, and it doesn't do away with jobs. And as Sam said, what it does do is allow employees to take the mind space that they have, and instead of applying it to kind of manual, laborious tasks, it allows them to apply it into other areas of the business, not only that helps them develop, but also helps your business develop. And so some of the other key areas where your business can take automation and turn it into a huge benefit, we've got kind of three key areas here, and that's accepting payments, marketing, and managing your finances. So automating these processes definitely makes your team and your business more efficient. So we're going to start here with marketing, and that is making sure you get the word out to new customers, making sure you're engaging your current customers, and a couple of automated tools that help with this are a couple of email marketing solutions, MailChimp and Constant Contact. And with these tools, you can set up automatic drip campaigns to keep your leads and customers engaged. You can segment customers to send targeted marketing messages that are really going to speak to them in a personalized manner. And you can help uncover upsell, cross-sell, referral opportunities, and help promote your business in different ways. And PaySimple actually offers integrations with both of these email marketing tools, which allows you to utilize payment data, which is actually really powerful kind of buyer behavior data, and use that data to drive those targeted, customized email marketing campaigns with both of these tools. So would definitely recommend that people on the call today check out MailChimp and Constant Contact if you're thinking about either optimizing or starting an email marketing program. Accepting payments is another big area where automation not only saves you time but really increases your revenue. So a couple tools that help, and PaySimple has all of these tools within a single platform that really helps a business scale their automated payment solutions. But Sam mentioned earlier, right, that there's an online application where you can kind of build it in one place and then send that application form out to multiple different sites and mediums. We also do that with payment forms, so you can create one payment form, send the link out, and collect payments from all of your customers with a single form and a single web link. We offer online stores, which is a digital kind of storefront that allows you to collect revenue for your products and services and stay open for business 24/7. And then we also offer recurring billing solutions, and this is something that really saves a ton of time. So if you have a business where you have kind of a subscription model or you have things that are charged on a periodic basis, recurring billing happens automatically. So instead of having to reach out to that customer and get their payment info and try to chase them down a lot of times to actually make that payment, recurring billing does that automatically. So it saves you time and it secures that cash flow so you know it's going to come in on a predictable basis, which is ultimately going to help you run your business more efficiently and plan better for the future. And then managing finances is an absolutely crucial piece of automating your business strategy because managing your finances also has tax implications. This is an area of your business where you really need to try to be as precise and accurate as possible. And for a lot of small businesses, a tool like QuickBooks is a great tool to be able to track all of your incoming revenue, your expenses, your payables, your receivables, all of those things. And with QuickBooks Online, we actually have an integration with PaySimple as well. So all of that payment data that is coming through your PaySimple account automatically syncs into your QuickBooks Online account, and it saves you a ton of time having to import, export, or manually enter that payment information into that tool. And one of the key things is not only at tax time, but especially at tax time, but month end, quarter end, and then also year end reports and closing out those books is a lot easier and a lot quicker when you can automatically take all of that payment data and get it into your QuickBooks Online account. So a couple of really key areas there. And we actually have a client here who is a CPA and accounting firm out in California, Gersi Schneider, who said that PaySimple saves them a ton of time and money. This is a very recent interview that we had with Doug Walton. And what PaySimple allows this organization to do is actually hire less people in their collections department and open up their collections department to focus on servicing their clients versus just calling them to try to get their payment info. So it's really been a key system that's allowed them to capitalize on their long-term strategy, and as Sam said, take their people away from doing those kind of repetitive tasks and allow them to take their mind space and put it in a different direction that ultimately benefits their business much more. So that's one practical way that PaySimple has been able to help a business that might be very similar to yours. And so that's kind of the end of kind of the formalized presentation here. And as I said, we wanted to make sure that we had some time to get to some questions. We had a couple come through, but I would advise you to chat them through the lower left-hand window in your screen. So keep those questions coming, and we'll try to get to as many as we can. And the first question that we have here, and this is going to be for you, Sam, is Rory asks, and thank you, Rory, for sending this question through. Am I understanding correctly that an applicant will only see the positions open within the company, which means basically they have live information happening?
Yeah, that's a great question, Rory, and that's exactly it, right? So when you're working on real-time platforms, then it's only what you have created and put out that is what the end user is really going to see. So those, when I work, for example, so those applications that you've determined, yes, this is complete, and we're going to post this, the job sites are going to be pulling from whatever is sitting in that complete pile in your When I Work platform. So they'll see real-time updated live information, and the great thing about automating that is that you only have to update that once, and that goes out to all the job sites that you're trying to reach the hourly workforce at.
Great. Thanks, Sam. And then we had another one here. This one comes from Ben. Thank you very much, Ben, for sending this in. And the question is, so I just invested in some outside help to redo my website. Can your online tools be customized to fit my new branding? So I'll go ahead and take this one first. And Ben, the answer to that question is absolutely. So with PaySimple's tool, in our online solutions, online stores, payment forms, and we also have this great tool called the Buy Now button, which allows you to collect a payment directly on that new website that you have. All of our tools can be customized to fit your business's branding, and we know branding is a very, very important part of a business. And you want to keep that branding consistent to make sure that your customers are always seeing that consistent brand image. So the answer is a resounding yes. You can definitely customize our online tools to make sure that it fits with that branding that you just invested in. And then our next question here comes from Marty, and it is, did you talk about any automated time clock work time recording for remote employees? So Sam, could you just touch a bit on how When I Work also helps with remote positions?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a great question, Marty. So When I Work does offer a time and attendance platform that's accessible to the employee when they need to be clocking in and clocking out. So we offer a time clock that's available on a fixed terminal that you can set up on, an iPad device in your office. We offer mobile clock-in because the reality is that the hourly workforce is mobile and they're not necessarily in the same place every day. So the capability to pull your phone out of your pocket, ensure that you're at the right place at the right time and clock in and know that those punches are being recorded in live time back in the When I Work system. That's a huge benefit to our partners. The third for remote work would be clocking in on a computer. So having the ability to give your employees to go to wheniwork.com to sign in, clock in, and again, no matter where they're punching in and out, it's all being recorded back into the same system where you can check it where you need to, when you need to.
Great, and actually we had another question that kind of trails onto that one. And this question is, I have employees that collect payments from customers at their homes. So, do you have features to support that? And Sam, I was going to have you touch a little bit on When I Work's mobile capabilities, which you just did, so thank you very much for that. But from a PaySimple perspective, mobile is absolutely one of the capabilities that we have. So PaySimple has a really great mobile app that will allow any employees that you have that work in the field, whether they're at a home or if you're a business-to-business tool and you're with that business in their location, you can collect payments via both credit cards and through bank accounts. You can set up stored payment information, so you can just pull up that customer and collect a payment from a method that they already have on file, as well as see your customers, edit their information, and have that customer management capability all right from that mobile app. So if you are a business that does some of your work outside of a single physical location, PaySimple definitely has features and functionality that are going to be able to satisfy that need from you. And then, Sam, we have a really great question here. It's a little more strategy-based, right? So how do you best recommend that you get buy-in from management or finance for any technology improvements in automation when it's pretty common that sometimes they see HR and recruitment as kind of just an overhead expense?
That's a great question. That's one that we get from our customers a lot too, of those that sign up for a free When I Work account on our website and then talk to our team and say, help me make the case. I love this, but I need to quantify this to the business and make the expense worth it. A couple different things. So I think there are opportunities to try before you buy. Like with the When I Work platform, you can really put to practice what you're trying to do and what you're trying to automate in a free or a trial version, and then show your team in real time the impact that has with maybe just a select group or a test environment or things like that. The other is to really, like I said before and pushed on pretty hard before, is to dissect your process. How much time is this really taking? Who all is it involving? What are the steps involved? And what is the technology that you're looking at going to solve for in that component? So just putting some quantifiable time and numbers into that evaluation process should be helpful as well.
Great. Okay, so we are running short on time here, and we were able to get to some really great questions today, but unfortunately that's all the time we have for the Q&A portion. I do want to make sure that everyone knows that if you did send in a question and we were not able to get to it, we will be able to follow up with you after the webinar to make sure that your question does get answered. And we'll probably also take some of these questions and build them into a follow-up blog post, really with some of the information that people wanted to know, and put it out there on our blog to make sure those questions are answered for you to consume at your convenience. So we're going to kind of wrap up here, and we're going to tell you about a couple of ways that you can both see PaySimple and When I Work to see if they may be right for your business's automation opportunities. And with PaySimple, you can actually start with a free trial, and Ingrid here is one of our longtime clients, says that PaySimple for her particular business has been a godsend, and it really helps them manage those recurring billing charges that I mentioned earlier. So if you'd like to get into PaySimple and take 14 days in our free trial to kind of take a look around, see if the functionality in our platform fits your business, which I think it most likely will, all you have to do is go to www.paysimple.com/free trial. And you can go ahead and start that free trial. There's no credit card required. It's completely risk-free, and you can get in there and kind of take a look for yourself. And then Sam also has some information here on how to try When I Work.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is just a quote from one of our customers as well. It's common for us to hear, especially with exclamation marks and expressing the pure love that they feel for using our tool. So we also are offering a promotion for webinar attendees that if you do sign up for When I Work, if you would like to pay for your first month of service, then we will pay for the second 2 months, or essentially you pay for the first month, we give you the second 2 following months for free. That's valid till November 1st, and we do offer a free version of When I Work. You can sign up for it through our website at www.wheniwork.com or visit the landing page down listed at the bottom of the screen here. It's a free scaled-down version, so it really gives you an opportunity to get into the software, get a feel for the environment, and then determine, what's going to work best for my team, what type of tools and things that are available do I need, and do we have the budget to do so. So again, purchase your first month of When I Work, and we'll provide the second 2 for free up to November 1st.
Great, thanks, Sam. And I do want to let everyone that's in the meeting today know that here at PaySimple, we actually use When I Work, and we have used When I Work for a while now. And there is a lot of support and a lot of happiness that exists at PaySimple from using When I Work. We have employees that walk around with When I Work T-shirts on. It really has helped us automate and improve our business. So I personally would like to thank Sam and When I Work for being able to offer that benefit to our business as well. So I would definitely recommend everybody on the call going to check them out in addition to starting a PaySimple free trial. And so that really kind of wraps up our presentation here. I do want to take another minute to thank Sam for helping us on today's webinar and for providing her expertise. She has some really great content in there and some quick takeaways to help these businesses make sure that they can automate their processes to get the most benefit. And I also want to make sure that everybody knows that if you would like some more automation tips, you can visit the PaySimple blog at www.paysimple.com/blog, and that is also where we will be following up with the blog post about any questions that we were not able to get to today. So thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you joining us when we know everybody is really busy, and we look forward to seeing everybody at a future webinar.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, Eddie, and thank you, everybody, for your time today.